Chattanooga, Tennessee, David Tulis.
What shall we do first? The Bunny Ranch case, a Supreme Court ruling between, or in the fight between CWH and LAS. This is the initials of petitioners in a messy divorce, and the mom is found to have been involved as a prostitute with children nearby at the Bunny Ranch in Nevada. This is David Tulis. We do thank you for tuning into our show. I'm here every morning at 9 o'clock, and my goal is to convince you of a very important economic truth. Or is it just an argument? And that is that you should buy local, you should love your neighbor and favor him. You should have the provincialist's prejudice for the near over the far, and the small over the big, and the simple over the complex. This isn't natural to me to think this way. I want you to know I'm a cosmopolite, and had the misfortune of having a university education from the University of Virginia. So I have, you might say I have a lot of unlearning to do. And in the footnotes, to make good, I have the following: that personal is better than corporate, and that physical is better than abstract. Of course, my show is brought to you by Nooganomics.com, the website for the man who matters. And I'm putting out new words on a man whose name appeared last week in a page one story in the Chattanooga Times-Free Press about abuses in the prison system, which is meant for abuse. It can't be anything but abuse, and which Brent Allen Winters points out is not restorative, is not a place where any penance is done anymore, even though penance in the Quaker theory was the goal of the penitentiary, the prison system, where you put a man in a room with a Bible and hope that he thinks about his crimes and becomes out a better man. That was the early fantasy among these Christian people, the Quakers, who rightly, perhaps we could say, fought against slavery, Southern slavery and Northern slavery, but they went awry in their argument for prison. The story is about Robert Z. Whipple III. He is, you can find Robert Z. Whipple at 1045 Horsehead Road in Pikeville, just over the mountain. And he has a complaint, and several complaints. He's been involved in at least 4 lawsuits against the Department of Correction, or specifically the Board of Paroles. I'm not exactly sure why the Board of Paroles is the target of his lawsuits, but he tells me in correspondence, making him my correspondent, obviously, that there are 4 cases, and there's one pending elsewhere, according to Grenda Harmer, who is you might say he could be called offhandedly a jailhouse lawyer. He's a man, I think he has a 25-year sentence, and he's at another hellhole, state-run hellhole, and that is in Wartburg, Tennessee. Now, Nasa Taylor is the Correction Department spokeswoman, and yesterday I extended the grace to her to say, okay, here's what I'm hearing. I would like feedback. Okay, now ordinarily she ignores media requests from the press, including Sharon Rondeau, who is, in many ways, I'd say, the leading reporter, the leading media platform for coverage about the situation in Tennessee. She runs the postemail.com. It's the Post and Email is the name of her platform. It's online using WordPress technology. And she has been writing for, I think, 7 years or so about the abusive problems in Tennessee's prisons. And she's in Connecticut, so it's an odd story. But Nasa Taylor says in her response about the Whipple story that I told her I was writing, that because he is involved in litigation with the department, she cannot comment. She says, here's her pithy answer to my request, an email request for comment. At this time, it would be improper for TDOC, to weigh in on Mr. Whipple's claims due to pending litigation as it relates to offender Whipple. This is a very arch sentence, and it allows her to get the word offender in there. Because obviously, he's a criminal. He's in jail, right? He's in prison, and he is involved in litigation. So she's not going to comment on the special shoes problem, and that is the problem that I described today. You can find this story at Nooganomics.com, the website for the man who matters. And he has, if you read that post today, you can see his correspondence. He writes very well, and also Brenda Ray Harmer, the man whose name seems to come from a Faulkner novel, also writes very well. And I'd say he's been reliable as far as I've been concerned, and Sharon Rondeau gives him high marks for reliability, though he does, in his correspondence, give me somewhat unbelievable figures about the temperatures in the end cell, in the cell block B. Not sure which cell block it's in Wartburg, but he's in a cell and he's at the end and he's being frozen to death. He says he's being frozen out and he just can't do anything. He's so cold in his cell. Cold air comes in through the exit slat, and he's under punishment as he understands it. Now, Mr. Whipple is being stiff-armed, and this grieves me to think that the prisoner cannot get access to legal materials. One complaint is about the shoes. He needs extra wide shoes, and he can't get them, and therefore he can't. He says he can't get the exercise that would be good for him. He's gaining weight, and that affects his diabetes, the sugar, and also diabetic neuropathy, which is, he said, a painful condition which makes it difficult to walk. And so he's asking about boots and citing policy 504.04, Roman numeral 6, parentheses A, parentheses 4. Okay, that's the citation, which he says is he has a right to have these boots because they're medically necessary, and it's not, you can't give the excuse, he says, that, well, we don't have the money. Okay, there are no really excuses if the doctor has ordered these boots, Dr. Belknap, as he explains. You can see this, to see what I put up with. You want to just looking over my shoulder, go to Nooganomics.com, our chief sponsor here on the David Tulis Show at all new Nooga Radio. That's Nooga Radio. We are brand new, and we do thank you for having discovered us. Keep it here on your dial. And of course on TuneIn, if you have the TuneIn Radio app, make sure that you just pick us. Pick Nooga Radio. We are your leading voice for news and analysis. 10 hours of local news every day here at Nooga Radio, Chattanooga's new favorite home for news and talk. We have got so much to get to today, but make sure that you drop in. Actually, you should do better than just dropping into Nooganomics.com. I do give you permission to go there. Okay, I give you permission, and I say that because a lot of people think that, well, that's real high-end local economy analysis at Nooganomics. That's just, we really probably shouldn't go there. Probably shouldn't go there. Not many people do, and it's really right that not many people go there, because here's why. It's for the man who matters, Nooganomics.com, and most people, I think, don't matter, and therefore I don't expect them to show up. I don't expect them to subscribe. And that's quite all right with me. I'm confident of what we are reporting at Nooganomics.com. What about candidates for governor? What are you hearing about them? The musician candidate who'd been in office, seeking that office for a month on the Republican side, has bowed out. And I'm thinking what I want to ask these candidates for governor. Now I have. Well, how can we say this? Here I am, the host, and I'm complaining to management. They need to give me an extra hour. I just don't have enough time with 2 hours to cover everything with you, and to make it a totally loco-centric morning on all new Nooga Radio 92.7 and all new 95.3 HD4. David Tulis, your host here, and the problem is I've got to squeeze everything in. So I've got questions I want to ask the governor candidates, and you might say, well, okay, what's so far away? Well, the problem with my questions is that they are militant. Okay, they're militant questions that are strident, they're unkind, they're cruel, they're kind of nasty. That's right, they're kind of nasty to these candidates for governor. Even the only real candidate for governor, May Beavers, she probably is the best one. Though we have some other ones, some big names, big entrepreneur type Republican establishment folks, including a couple of office holders at the federal legislature running for governor of Tennessee. Now, in a survey put out about Tennessee from 2009 to 2014, the state stole $86 million in cash from people, mostly travelers, without anybody having been convicted. And according to the Times Free Press report on this matter, that's almost 3 years old now. It hasn't been. There's not a fresh story that I can cite. Another $69 million went to Tennessee police agencies through 2000 and 2013 from the Yankee Department of Justice asset splitting program known as equitable sharing. It's so kind. There's so much equity involved in the good people in Washington stealing people in the Highwayman program in Tennessee and sharing it with the locals. Right? They're so gracious. They're so kind. I mean, we couldn't make it without the good people, could we? Here in Chattanooga and Hamilton County. But one question for governor is, will you continue candidate for governor? Will you continue the Highwayman program in Tennessee, and continuing adding staff, continuing adding troopers with recruitment drives at Chat State, more sharks to prowl the highways, going after immigrants in their vans. Of course, immigrants don't know to demand the probable cause for which the reason the officer stopped them, and who are totally pliable, quavering in fear as the military man with his armor and his broad-brimmed hat, green hat, approaches. They're in the mirror, and they're all whispering at each other in Spanish, and they're terrified because they have children at home. One is engaged to a very beautiful girl from Guatemala. The other one has a hurt back from picking strawberries all day, and they're terrified because they're all here as free people. They don't have any documents, and the man behind the wheel doesn't have a document either, and the trooper is coming up, tapping on the window. Will you, as governor, continue this program that will seize their cash, seize their earnings as profits from the drug industry? Will you hold to that program, candidate for governor? Of course, they're all supporting it. They all support it. Governor Haslam is for it. These are his people in the THP. What about this one? Do you hold to the doctrine of judicial supremacy, or do you hold to the doctrine of constitutional supremacy, in which the Constitution is the final law, not an opinion out of Washington, not Obergefell versus Hodges, which destroyed the Tennessee statutory system of marriage control, in a way reflective of God's sovereign declaration that marriage is between one man and one woman. Okay, this has been overturned, though the law is still there. Right? We have the neutron bomb effect in the law that Governor Bill Haslam and his Attorney General, both of them Presbyterians, accept to be overturned. Joined here by our county clerk, Bill Knowles, who forgot that he made an oath of office before God, to uphold the Tennessee Constitution. Will you, as governor candidate, adhere to, agree with, abide by, teach, and promote the doctrine of judicial supremacy? That's the question. It's a nasty question. David Tulis wants to know of these candidates for governor. Now, in 2015, let's just change the topic. Let's move on to pleasanter things, okay? In 2015, more than 9,000 boys and girls were destroyed with your permission, the Republican Party permission, with the Democrat Party hurrah, in the wombs of their mothers. In Hamilton County, 151 women residing in this county had enough despair, enough hopelessness in their hearts, enough propaganda from Planned Parenthood and the establishment media to think that they could destroy their heirs, their offspring, by the use of the engagement of an abortionist, the baby killer doctor, in some place or other, Tri-Cities, Nashville, Knoxville, maybe Atlanta, in Tennessee, killing their children. And this has been done by the permission of both parties. Both parties accept this, and police departments around the state will defend to the death the right, the authority, the power to kill children in utero. You, as governor candidate, do you accept this? Should we abolish the human sacrifice system in Tennessee? Should we abolish the sacrifice of boys and girls? Many of them are black. Should we abolish it in Tennessee, or should we just introduce and consider the fetal pain bill, or what have you? Should we just be pro-life and argue for the proper means of killing, reducing certain types of gruesome deaths, or should we abolish? That's the question that needs to be answered. What about upholding constitutional government and ending, at least trending away to ending commercial government in the state of Tennessee? What about TN Invesco, which has doled out $200 million in the sale of tax credits through insurance companies to bring employers to Tennessee? Should we avoid this kind of program, which is cronyism and corruption official? It's official cronyism and corruption in the name of economic development. Do we want economic development of that kind? Is that something we want here in Tennessee? And will you, as governor, maintain that system, or will you move to abolish it? It's in your branch, right? This is executive branch activity that you are going to follow. You can let Governor Haslam has led the way in having this program, and you can do the same. Or you can favor the people. Now, the Republican Party, on another point, has abolished by deception and lies the right of the people, that is to say you, my listener, to elect judges. Now, what has happened is the GOP lied to everybody and got the Constitution changed to have it that the governor names appellate court judges and you ratify it, rather than them running directly, which is corrupt, potentially corrupt. They said, we will have the governor name his pals and name party hacks, lawyer party hack judges to the appellate court, A and B, and you just say yes or no. Is that something that you approve of? And if it's true, well, it is the law now, right? And will you, as candidate for governor, name as judges men and women who defend the people and uphold constitutionally guaranteed, God-given, inherent, and unalienable and inalienable rights? Will you do that? Or will you simply have another progressive attorney who believes in the superiority, the supremacy of the state over the people? Is that what you're going to do? Whom do you know would be a good candidate for judge, whom you can name? That's the question I would ask of all those candidates for governor on the Republican side. What about the drug war? Civil asset forfeiture, as I mentioned, is part of the drug war. Will you continue it? Is it enough that we've had decades of damage since the Nixon era against the people of this state? The criminalization of many things, the filling of the prison system with black people, right? They went from slavery A to slavery B in your lousy Department of Corrections. Will you continue the drug war with its pretense of civil virtue? Or will you bring it to an end? Do you support the drug war? That's the question. Now, what about high court rulings being ignored? We have a Tennessee government and the branches which ignore very plain rulings that suggest that cities are civil only and do not have statutory criminal authority. There are reasons to believe that the system in Hamilton County and across the state is ignoring, the judicial system is ignoring Chattanooga versus Davis and 2001, Chattanooga versus Myers, 1990, I think that case is, that say cities do not have criminal authority. Cities have civil authority only, which means what? What that means is that if they have civil authority, they cannot run police departments that enforce statute other than those strictly delegated by the Tennessee Code Annotated, which is to say traffic. And I think that's it. Sheriff Jim Hammond needs to have control in Hamilton County. Sheriff Jim Hammond and sheriffs in every other county need to have control in cities and in counties, because that's what the law requires. And yet we're all ignoring it. Everybody seems to ignore these two cases. Something I'm working on, something I'm reading about. What about the existence of public schools? Will you, as governor, support public schools? Or will you, as governor, admit and acknowledge that we have today the internet, YouTube, and the PDF, and that we don't have to have centrally located school systems, which are very capital intensive and very expensive, very demanding upon the taxpayer, and which are, in fact, irrelevant, redundant, useless, and pointless? Why do we need schools when we have the internet? Why do we need schools when we have the free market? Schools have outlived their usefulness. They are a pre-internet conception, and they are a failure. They are a failure, and they have created a generation of dependent morons here in Hamilton County and all across the state. Do we want better? Can the free market do better? Do you, as candidate for governor, believe in the people of Tennessee? Or do you believe that we should have first the superiority of the state and the continuation of its public school, its factory school system? Do you support the right to bear arms? And do you believe that the intent to go arms statute is unconstitutionally vague, which it is. It is unconstitutionally vague, and it is a trap. It is a trap for many people. We have in Tennessee a total ban on the use and ownership of firearms, and you have only defenses and exceptions on which to stand if you are a Second Amendment advocate and the man living out the promises of the Second Amendment, the private user of weapons, the member of the militia. You are in danger all the time. Even if you have a permit, you can get caught in criminal trap. What about these governor candidates? What do they think? These are the questions that we need to ask now. David Tulis.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio.